Hey everybody, and welcome to the DevOps Enterprise Summit 2022 in Europe. And because we're virtual, many of you are tuning in from around the world. We're so glad we're all together for the summit. Gene and the programming committee keep raising the bar for every summit to make it the best programming yet, and they're quite chuffed because they think they've done it again. We hope you agree as you see the talks from the fantastic lineup of speakers over the next 3 days. But at most conferences, those talks are primarily one-way sharing, from the speaker to you in the audience. We all know we can get a ton of value from two-way interactions and two-way sharing, and we want to create those kinds of opportunities for interactions between you and the speakers and between you and each other. And we want to create this kind of experience for you, whether we're together in person, like we have been in the past, or together virtually like we are now. Let me run through some of those opportunities, but I need to set the stage first. Prior to the event in 2020, we've always gotten together in person. And just like last year and the year before, this year we're not doing that. We're virtual. But we still have a lot of the same things that make the DevOps Enterprise Summit great, whether we're in person like we were prior to 2020 or virtual like we were the last 2 years. We have great speakers. We have great attendees. We have great sponsors. We have great networking opportunities. We're interacting through Slack. We have a code of conduct. We're bringing a lot of what we did last year to create a great virtual experience. So the learning and the community are still great. And because we're always learning and improving, some things are going to be different from when we've been together in person and even from last year when we were virtual. We have new opportunities to interact with speakers and attendees and sponsors that we've been honing for the last 2 years while we've been virtual, and we think we have another great summit experience in store for you. Now, as you can see right now, we'll be watching the talks primarily through our browser and interacting with others primarily through Slack. So let me show you how to get around the event in your browser and in Slack. For watching the talks in your browser, navigate to Watch in the top level menu for the event website. You can see the talks happening right now on the schedule. Or you can navigate to Schedule in the top level menu, find the talks you want to watch, and click on Watch to watch them. We're also interacting in Slack. Many of us use Slack for our daily work, especially these days. So we're going to use Slack for what we use it for in our daily work. We're going to engage with speakers, sponsors, and each other, both during and after the conference. And the Slack workspace is going to continue on beyond the conference. You can get on board at this link on the slide, or you can go to Network in the top level menu for the event website. There are some important Slack channels you should be paying attention to, and I'll explain each of these as we go through the orientation of the event. We'd really appreciate it if everyone would edit their Slack profile to include more information about yourself. Name, image, organization, title, pronouns, whatever you feel comfortable sharing with this community to help us learn a little more about you. It will improve your experience and the experience of everyone else by making things just a little more human. Now, let's talk about engaging with speakers. This is the opportunity you have to ask the amazing speakers some questions. And because we're virtual, we get to do something a little bit different. In a physical event, when we're getting together in person, the speakers on stage are, speaking. In our case, the speakers will be available in Slack during their scheduled presentation time, so you can post your questions in the corresponding Ask the Speaker channel in Slack and mention the speaker during their presentation. If you have thoughts on a question someone else asked, please contribute. We've heard from many attendees that this kind of interaction with speakers and other attendees is an incredibly valuable and engaging part of their summit experience. So please, share your voice in Slack. We have different Slack channels corresponding to the different programming tracks on the schedule. We have one channel for the plenary talks, and we have one channel for each of the 4 tracks in the schedule. Just make sure you're asking your question in the right channel. And if you want to carry on a conversation after the speaker's scheduled time, you can take that conversation into the Ask the Speaker More channel. Now, when using Slack, remember, alert fatigue is a real thing. So please be considerate of your fellow attendees and the important messages they might need to see from their teams. So please don't use @here or @channel. We have some terrific networking opportunities. We have a block of networking time each of the 3 days for you to interact with speakers and with other attendees. There are no talks and no other programming during this time, so the FOMO should be low. We have Gather again this year. Gather is our virtual conference venue for the summit. You can walk around in it, interact live with sponsors, speakers, and other attendees, and even play some games in there. You can enter the Gather space by navigating to Gather in the top level menu for the event, or by checking out the Gather channel in Slack. Thank you to Launch Darkly for sponsoring this space. There's more to share with you about Gather, which I'll be doing after the morning's talks right before we break. Now, let's go through the opportunities during the networking time. We're holding Birds of a Feather sessions each day of the summit. These are sessions for you to find and interact with other attendees who share similar interests. The way to join a Birds of a Feather conversation is to enter the Gather virtual space and head to the Birds of a Feather room. I'll show you how to get there in just a moment. When you're in the room, just move to the area that has the topic you're interested in joining. You can also join the Birds of a Feather Slack channels for topics that interest you. Each of those channels starts with